Hi guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing what I consider to be the most overrated as well as underrated luxury brands of 2025. I'm not going to be going in any particular order, but at the very end I am going to be sharing what I consider to be the worst offender at the moment, just in terms of being too overhyped and just not worth the money. So I hope you guys enjoy this and let's get started. So the very first brand, which I think is 100% worth the hype, is Loewe, and I always used to think of myself as not really a Loewe girl, but actually I already have 3 bags from them and I'm now considering my 4th, so clearly that just isn't true. I feel like, you know, it's easy to say that they're having a moment, but actually I think they're just building on strength after strength. They have a very solid foundation with the Loewe puzzle bag, which is still so popular even after many, many years. And they have so many great releases at the moment as well. So they're not just resting on their laurels. You know, all of their new releases are very original, they're very different, and they also inspire a lot of imitation as well. I know I mentioned in another video that their squeeze bag, I think, heavily influenced one of Demellier's new designs. And I think that's just testament to how influential they are in the industry. Their summer bag styles are also amazing as well. I have 2 myself, so I have one smaller one and then one larger basket tote. I'm also eyeing up their basket shoulder bag as well, which I think is adorable. But yeah, I have so many wonderful styles, which I actually think are priced fairly reasonably. Obviously, you're not getting a full leather style, but so many brands just don't seem to care about that and still stick, you know, a £1,500, £2,000 price mark on their raffia styles, which Loewe really don't do, which I just think is so smart of them. I think it shows a good sense of where the market's at. And the fact they just keep on producing these bags, which, you know, they don't feel overly trendy, they always have a really good shelf life, they don't date easily, but they're also at the same time what people want to be wearing now. So for me, Loewe is 100% just one of those brands. I know their head designer, Jonathan Anson, has left now. He went to do all menswear in March. So we'll see if this trend continues of them producing just really great designs, but I personally am loving what they're doing at the moment, and I do think that Loewe is 100% a brand that is definitely worth the hype. Next up is Demellier, and I definitely say that Demellier is one of those brands which is more influencer-led in terms of them just relying very heavily on influencer marketing. I think it's easy to dismiss brands like that, but actually I feel like they nail it with so many of their bag designs, and I think it's really unusual to find a brand at this price point, which is still luxurious, but it's certainly not, you know, insanely priced, that really puts that much effort into their design process. You know, they have beautiful hardware, it looks very signature, very elegant, very expensive. I just think that they nail it with so many of their designs. I do sometimes hear that people don't think that the quality is up there, but honestly, I think that also speaks to the design as well. I think people expect kind of Chanel Hermes quality because their bags look so nice, and you know, you're obviously not going to get that for something that costs a tiny fraction of the price. So for me, I've always been pretty happy with the quality. It does vary from bag to bag, I find, but the styles I do have, I think, are pretty good quality. I think they just do so many beautiful design options. I have now 4 bags from them, I think, and I absolutely love them all. And yeah, I just think this is one brand that, for me, completely worth the hype. I absolutely love their designs, and I think that they look way more expensive than they are. My next brand is both a brand and also kind of a general category where I have a couple of brands, but it is luxury jewelry that's actually wearable, and I think that a lot of this will depend on your own personal style, because I think one brand that's super wearable for one person may not be the same for another person. But I've been debating Van Cleef jewelry for the longest time. I had a really interesting interaction with a follower who owns some Van Cleef jewelry and was actually like, oh, it's a bit of a regret of mine because I just don't wear it much. So I was questioning her because I was like, oh, it's been on my wish list for ages, why hasn't it worked out for you? And she was like, I just find it a little bit too statement making to be wearable. And actually that completely hit home in terms of the pieces which I like to wear and I actually get value for money from. For me, they are the most wearable, easy pieces to wear and style, and that is what makes it kind of worth the splurge for me. So my absolute 2 favorite examples here. One, my Cartier bracelet, like this is my ride or die. Like I absolutely love it. I lost it for a good 6 months last year and I was so devastated. I eventually found it in a random bathroom box. I think Leo just randomly put it in there, but I'm so happy it's back in my life. And for me, this is just like the perfect example of something that it may be an investment buy, but actually if you pick the right thing to suit you, your style and how you live, it can be just like the best buy where the cost per wear is incredibly minimal, and for me that is absolutely just embodied in this bracelet. And then my other favorite luxury jewelry brand is definitely Idyl, who I've spoken about before, but their jewelry is just so unbelievably gorgeous. If you see me wearing kind of my everyday luxury jewelry pieces, 95% of the time it's going to be something from Idyl, and their pieces just really strike the balance between being so unbelievably beautiful and just gorgeously designed whilst being so wearable, so easy to layer and stack. And I just think their entire concept is just so genius. If you're not familiar with them, then they're basically a modular jewelry company. So you can buy a few base pieces and then buy extra additions to really swap out your look without having to change the whole entire jewelry piece. It's super clever. So for example, with the earrings, you can buy just the base studs and then you can buy the extra accessories on top of that to completely change the look of the earring. I have so many different types of them now and I love swapping them out, and it really does change the look of the earring whilst only swapping out one element to it. So even though it is luxury high-end jewelry, it's actually a weirdly cost-effective way of doing it, and I just absolutely love them. So the one that I'm wearing here today is actually new to me, and it is this gorgeous kind of teardrop design but 3 in a row. It is super pretty. This has been on repeat for me, and I just think it is absolutely gorgeous, and I've been teaming it with this little ear cuff right here, and I actually only have one other ear cuff also from Idyl, and it's not typically a jewelry piece I go for, but they do the most stunning ones. I know Eva Longoria is also a fan. She wears their ear cuffs a lot, and they are just so incredibly pretty, and I love the effect. So this has been my kind of go-to earring combo ever since I got it. I just absolutely love it, but all of their jewelry pieces are firm favorites for me. And for me, it really just embodies the idea that actually if you find jewelry that you really love in terms of the design and the wearability, it is always 100% worth the splurge, because you're just going to get so much use and mileage out of it, especially for items that you can wear every single day. And I think these do strike the right balance of being statement making whilst also being super wearable. You know, you can wear these with a cocktail dress, but you can also wear them with a t-shirt and sweats if you want to as well, just elevating your look every single day. So for me, Idyl is absolutely one of those brands which is 100% worth the hype. I just absolutely love it. Idyl were nice enough to partner with me on this video, and they were kind enough to give me a discount code for you guys as well. So I will pop that on screen. I'll also list all the details down below. I will link up all of my favorite jewelry pieces as well. I do have a lot of favorites, but I will list my kind of absolute favorites down below in the description section. 100% worth checking out if you also love your jewelry. Like, they just do the most beautiful designs. I know Mother's Day is coming up in the US soon as well, and they make for the most beautiful gift because they put so much effort into their packaging. And it's just the most amazing jewelry experience. So I will link up everything down below if you did want to check anything out. Next up is Totem, and for me Totem is kind of like the affordable Roe, in that, you know, the Roe is all about that quiet luxury aesthetic, but they are so supremely expensive. Like, everything from their ready-to-wear clothing right through to the accessories, like, the prices always kind of shock me, whereas I feel like Totem is actually a really nice middle ground of being absolutely a luxurious price point. You know, these are very expensive items. They look really expensive though, and the quality is just really up there. Like, it feels like you're getting really luxurious quality, materials, hardware, design. Like, it is the full package. And I just absolutely love what Totem are doing, and every time I see a new design from them, I'm always just so excited about it, even though they are very pared back designs. So again, really leaning into that quiet luxury aesthetic without having to have, like, you know, I spend my summers just on my yacht kind of money, and I think they've just kind of nailed it. So I just absolutely love Totem. I do think it's a brand that's worth the hype. They're definitely a bit quieter than a lot of your usual suspects, but I think that their designs just kind of speak for themselves. So for me, I'm a huge fan. I have 2 bags from them now, and both this kind of T-lock style, and I just absolutely love them to bits, and I would be very happy to explore other styles from them. I think they are 100% worth it. Next up is Louis Vuitton, and I'm so happy that Louis Vuitton is back in this kind of favourable category, because I think towards the end of last year I just was going through like a bad LV stage, in that whenever I looked at their website, which I do periodically, I just felt so uninspired with what I was seeing, and it just felt like they were kind of running out of ideas. They were rehashing old ideas that they didn't really know what to do with, and then instead of like making them fun or tweaking them in an exciting way, they would just add more buckles and chains and unnecessary things just to create something different for the sake of selling more. Whereas actually I go on the LV website now and I see so many things I want. Like they have so many beautiful new collections, and also it could be, you know, the time of year. I think spring is generally an easier time to design for than autumn, winter, but they have so many great new arrivals. If you've not looked at the Louis Vuitton website for a while, I would definitely recommend doing so because they have some gorgeous, gorgeous bags. And then my last brand for this category is Bottega Veneta, and this is one I actually disagreed with ChatGPT on. I usually now, when I'm planning and researching a video, I will usually run my ideas past ChatGPT just to get a sense check. I don't have any real life friends who are into luxury, which is kind of why I do YouTube, to be honest. But I find ChatGPT just so useful for that. And we honestly didn't really agree on that much. I think there were 2 brands which we agreed on, one in each category, and the rest I just disagreed on, and Bottega was one of those brands. So ChatGPT had Bottega as one of the brands which it thought was kind of overhyped. It said that since Daniel Lee, the head designer's departure, it hasn't been the same, and it's just kind of overdone. And I just don't think I really agree. I think that they're still knocking out the designs. I would say that they have had a lot of churn with their designs, not all of which I think have been super classic, which considering the price point is a bit more problematic. But I still think that their bags on the whole look very classic because they really stayed very true to that kind of woven leather aesthetic. I think it served them very well. So even though they're kind of reintroducing it in new ways and doing new designs, they're keeping that design element the same, which I think really helps to make their bags just look and feel so much more classic while still introducing new design features, like on the Andiamo, which I know is such a popular design. They have that beautiful belt detail. I think that they're doing it really, really well. So, you know, even though it's not a brand that, again, is really loud and kind of screams with their branding and logos, they're still very recognizable because they have stayed true to that woven leather design element. And I just think that they're still completely nailing it, and they just come up with the most beautiful designs. So 100% one where I disagree with ChatGPT. I don't think it's overdone. I still think that they're doing some really, really beautiful bags. And for me, I do think that they're actually worth the hype. And now for what I consider to be the most overrated luxury brands for 2025. And you know, this is always going to be subjective, but these are the brands which I just don't feel like are really hitting the mark right now. So the first one is Gucci, because I just kind of don't get what they're doing right now. And like occasionally they'll come out with a bag which I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, that's so nice. But I feel like the one bag I like is out of a sea of like hundreds that they release. So it's a very small proportion of what they are actually releasing at the moment. And they're really leaning into the kind of retro vibe. So a lot of their designs are quite 70s inspired, which I don't have a problem with inherently, but I do feel like sometimes they take it a little bit far. And I keep seeing, you know, emails and marketing about their new released Marmont line, and for me, the Marmont line looks identical. Like I don't see what they've changed with it. And it just feels like they're really kind of clinging on to their one, you know, really big hit with their Marmont bags and just trying to like extend the life, when actually I think they should be kind of focusing more on just developing some newer kind of classic designs without completely overloading the market with loads of different, you know, leather types and slight design tweaks and metallics and crazy new silhouettes and all the things that they're doing. It just feels a little bit too much. And I do actually really love their new soft bit design. I mentioned this in another video and I think that's absolutely gorgeous, but it is kind of the rarity amongst all their different bags. Like it just feels that they're releasing so much, but they're not necessarily hitting the mark with any of their bag designs while still maintaining a very, very high price point. So yeah, I'm just not quite feeling what Gucci are doing at the moment. I feel like the brand has so much amazing heritage to draw upon, but I just don't think that they're realizing it in a really kind of great way. Next up is Valentino, and this is one brand which I kind of have ups and downs in terms of my love for them. You know, sometimes I think they are completely nailing it, but at the moment they just feel kind of a little bit lost and like they don't know what they're doing. And I think they've had a good few years now of just being a little bit aimless with their bag designs. They've changed up their logo quite a bit and they can't seem to stick to one signature look or direction. And if you look at their new bag releases now, I feel like I'm looking at like 10 different bag brands. Like some of their designs are just completely out there. On the one hand, they go for really streamlined aesthetics. On the other hand, they go for a ton of florals and a ton of patterns and a lot of embellishment. And it's just really all over the place. In addition to that, I think that their pricing strategy is totally bonkers. Like, they price their bags so highly as if they are incredibly classic designs which are going to last you a decade, which I just don't think is true at this point. You know, they seem to be coming out with very trend-driven designs, but they're pricing their bags at, you know, definitely over 2,000, sometimes over £2,500 or £3,000, which is really quite high. And I just don't think that their bag designs are worth it. So for me, I just don't know what they're doing. Like, again, their designs just seem to be all over the place. I do feel like they've kind of lost their direction, and it's not really a bag brand that I'm looking to invest in, whilst they still seem to be in this kind of weird state of flux. So definitely a bag brand that I'm not fully getting for 2025. I've been a big fan of their previous designs, so I'm hoping they figure it out. But yeah, definitely one that I'm not totally sure about. And then last but not least, and what I think is probably the worst offender on this list, is Chanel with some of their new bag designs. And you guys will know I'm a big Chanel fan. You know, I've spent a lot of money on their bags over the years, but some of their new bag designs just leave me scratching my head. And you know, if you scroll down on their website, they have their kind of classic lineup of bags. They start off with the classic flat, then the 2.55, and then they have the Chanel 25, followed by the 22, followed by the 19. And you can kind of see the evolution of the design from very, very structured to gradually getting a little bit more slouchy and relaxed with the 19, right through to very slouchy and relaxed with the 22 and the 25. But I'm just not really feeling the new designs, and I think they're spending a lot of money on brand ambassadors, you know, using very famous faces to front their bag campaigns, which to be fair is nothing new, but it really feels like they're trying to appeal to a younger audience with very trend-driven designs, which I just don't think have a lot of staying power. And you know, I've been following Chanel for decades now, so I've seen a lot of their kind of new bags be rolled out and pushed and promoted. So I do feel like there is kind of a bit of a pattern in terms of, you know, what really has staying power and does very well, like their boy bag or their 19 bag, and what is more of a passing fad. And for me, the 22 and the 25 just do not look like bags which we're going to see a lot of in 5 or 10 years time. So you know, I could be wrong, but they certainly aren't pricing accordingly. I think that a small Chanel 25 is $6,000, which is just an insane amount of money, and I just don't get it. So, you know, if you have these bags and you think they are worth the hype, let me know in the comment section. But for me, I just don't understand the direction that they're going in. A lot of the new designs just really don't speak to me at all. And yeah, it's just one that leaves me kind of scratching my head. So for me, the new Chanel designs are a bit of a no-no, a bit overhyped, and one that I just don't think is going to have a lot of longevity despite being priced as such. So that wraps up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my lists down below in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.